Let's face it, the way Mother Nature's been changing, their summers are going to become burning infernos of humidity and storms of hot weather. We need fragrances that can adapt and hold pretty decently in the heat, but still smell like a boss. A lot of people still have to wear some sort of formal attire to work. Some suits, a sports coat, maybe a shirt and tie. Depending on your line of business, full presentation is key. But in this extremely crazy and volatile heat, you need a fragrance that smells bossed up, but still fresh. I'm gonna put you onto 10 business fresh fragrances that you should be testing out on your skin for that boardroom. Let's roll my motherfucking music so I can put you on to 10 fresh business scents.
We're all alone in on the south side in case you cared. Out of all your friends, I want to be Cuba.
Blessed morning, my beautiful peoples. You know who it is. It's your boy, C to the U to the B to the A. So these are 10 fresher fragrances, not super freshy, but definitely in the fresh space, I feel would be fantastical in the workplace for some formal attire or some business casual attire. These fragrances are in no particular order, and the first one I'm gonna start off with is in kind of the space of Gynamide by Marc Antoine Barrios. It's by the same perfumer. It has a similar-esque scent profile, but it's very fresh, very business forward, super perfect for the office. And the fragrance is none other than Bois Imperial by Quentin Bisch. Not to be confused with in the Gynamide space, only a little bit more youthful, I would say. Not as earthy and as robust as Gynamide, but also not the price point of Gynamide. It has a fresher quality to this fragrance. It has musky vibes. It has a little bit of a tobacco-ish essence to my nose, and also some Middle Eastern spices that feel a little bit kicked up and just adding a little bit spiciness to the freshness. I feel like that touch of vetiver and herbal basil kind of note really add to that beautiful, masculine, very corporate freshiness that I'm looking for this list. So I thought Bois Imperial would be pretty essential for when it comes to that business fresh kind of smell. Next one. This next fragrance is a great discovery. I've always thought this had amazing performance in the summertime. It isn't your traditional, boring, salty fragrance for the summer, and it also has a little bit of a unique quality about it that differentiates it from anything else that you would smell in the high heat, still giving it a little bit of a formality to it. And the fragrance is none other than by the house of Rivière, and that's Obsidian. When you read the note composition for this fragrance, it pretty much indicates that it's bergamot, citron, pineapple, cedar, rosemary, cardamom, and then sandalwood and patchouli, which sounds like combinations that are kind of maybe generic in the niche space. But the way this comes off on the skin has nothing that you can think of a cookie cutter type fragrance, especially in the fresh space. As a matter of fact, this feels a little bit denser and a little bit more robust off the skin than rather just some aquatic type shit. Citron and musky notes in this fragrance are very prevalent and super unique in its own right. They smell great off the skin, very invigorating, very powerful, very dense, very thick, but still bright and beautiful with a very sexy masculinity about it that gives it a very unique space and lives in its own bubble. This Obsidian joint is a hitter and definitely perfect for a fresh office safe scent. Next one. Now this next one, I know nobody's talked about in Fragcom other than me. This is by a house called Sniff. This is like a vegan line. It's very unisex, eco-friendly, the whole spiel. But this scent profile is very unique and super nice. And this is by the house of Sniff, and this one is called Show Pony. Now I'm gonna give you the note breakdown just so you can get an idea of what Show Pony's spitting. Marion Plum. I have no idea what Marion Plum is, but it definitely has a juicy ripeness on the opening. Black tea, love, black pepper, saffron, sandalwood, vetiver, and bergamot. Just to give you an idea of what kind of notes we're working with, so you get this juicy, ripe opening tea style fragrance with a little bit of a peppery kick, and I mean a little bit. It's not a big spice bomb fragrance. It's more so of a juicy, beautifully unisex, vetiver kind of fragrance with woody nuances and a sprinkle of pepper just to add some seasoning. Great unique fragrance, not very expensive. You can get like the whole lineup, I think, for well under 200 bucks, like 330 mLs. Very nice fragrance. Definitely recommend checking it out. It's not too expensive and it's very unique. Next one. Now when I smelled this next fragrance, it gave me a little bit of a Yves Saint Laurent L'Homme vibe, but with its own characteristics with a bumped up tobacco type vibe, and it's like gingery, tobacco, earthy, woody, and it's a very gentlemanly fragrance that has a beautiful amount of freshness for that corporate office smell, and that's Sean Crenshaw's Ovation. It's been a minute since I've worn this fragrance, and I haven't worn this fragrance a lot, to be honest with you. It gets lost in the sauce with all the fragrances, but I know it's notes of like cardamom, tobacco, freshness, but I get a punch of ginger, and again, think of a bumped up tobacco, gingery fragrance with loam tendencies to be very versatile, fresh, office safe, corporate chic, very sexy, very masculine, great fragrance, and really performs very well off of my skin the times that I've worn it. So Ovation for men, very nice. Next one. This next fragrance is a newer acquisition in my collection by the house of Jimmy Choo, and that's Jimmy Choo Ice. Now this is for more the playful vibe. This is for somebody who has that Clark Kent Superman syndrome. He goes into the office 9 to 5, very pristine, his portfolio is on point. He's always killing it in the boardroom, very professional, but once that fucking tie gets loosened, he turns into a fucking wild frat boy out in the scene, ready to throw his dick everywhere. This was a quite refreshing fragrance with the citron note, very bright, very vetiver-y, smells fantastic, smells kind of little bit Italian ice-ish, but really has its own character and its own personality, so to speak. When I first smelled this fragrance, well, prior to smelling this fragrance, I already had a preconceived notion of what this shit was gonna smell like, and I was gonna be like, it's gonna be type boring. Really wasn't. It was actually super fun, very playful fragrance, but it still had a masculine demeanor about it. It didn't feel completely juvenile. It felt like a dude who can go to work and have fun right after. Doesn't have to be something super complicated. It can be something super fun that performs very well. And for me, Jimmy Choo Man Ice really encompasses that. Clark Kent, Superman, and starts slinging dick everywhere. Next one. Now this next fragrance is by a content creator in the fragrance space, Mr. Smelly's Gravitas Pour Homme. It's a great smelling fragrance that's very fresh, but also very classy and debonair, just like Mr. Smelly presents himself. It's got a very traditional-esque DNA with a little bit of a new school twist. It's got that oak moss, it's got that citrus, it's got that bergamot, it's got a little bit of everything that you're looking for, but it's easily transitionable from that boardroom into the after work type situation, which is I'm a big proponent of. You need to have that work-life balance and really be able to level it out. And I should definitely take some of my own advice because I don't know what balance is. But if you haven't had a chance to smell Gravitas by Mr. Smelly, get your hands on it. It's a very classy, very refined, freshy fragrance that's perfect for the office. Next one. This one is just a little fun, playful vibe that I didn't anticipate to like either. I'm not a huge proponent of the grapefruit type smell. Actually, a lot of people are super turned off by this scent, but personally, I think it smells very good, and this DNA is just a popular one. Everybody loves this fucking Dolce & Gabbana light blue forever. It's a fun fragrance, really good in the high heat. Actually, in the humidity, this shit shines like a rock star off of my skin. I don't know if it's the heavy citrusy oils in here that grapefruit is really protruding off the skin, but it holds very well, has a nice sillage bubble around it, and performs phenomenal on me. The right amount of citrus, the right amount of saltiness. Sometimes the citrus can be a little bit over, but for me, it just works very well. For some reason, stronger citrusy notes in the high heat on my skin work very well. So this is easily something that you can wear into the office that isn't going to offend anybody. Will have a scent profile that people might recognize, and really after work, you can get yourself turned up and turned out. Next one. Although this has a little bit of that petty grain Neroli-ish type vibe, it's another classy fragrance for that hedge fund dude, what I like to call Obsidian, and that's Cologne Intense. I can't pronounce this shit. Obsidian, Cologne Intense. You still get that little bit of Neroli vibe, but it works. There's a lot of people that love that Neroli freshness in here. The Sicilian lemon, the Neroli, the vetiver, that bergamot, and that little bit of a green old school kind of shaving foam situation. It smells very good. It's very classy. Not something that I can pull off, to be honest with you. I'm not the suit type wearing dude. Like, this has to be for that classy individual. Again, walks in there well presented. Like, he's hitting the dry cleaner daily. Probably has a wife and a couple of kids, a possible mistress, you know, shorty who be eating the ass, but he can't do that shit with his wife at home because she's very refined and debonair as well, but he's a little bit of a closet freak with possible red room. We don't know, but this is for that classy individual that can easily get that fresh presentation at work and have that CEO presence and command that respect. This is just fun time vibes. This is a scent profile that everybody knows. It's extremely successful, and this is just a lighter version of Acqua di Gio's Profondo Lights. I call this playful office fragrance. It works. It just smells good. Doesn't drive me crazy, but the fragrance absolutely works. It's kind of got that redundant Profumo scent DNA, just on a lighter format. I think it's not a bad fragrance. It works. A lot of people seem to really like this fragrance, but doesn't drive me wild. But it doesn't mean it's not gonna work for you and in your particular situation, because this DNA has been around for a minute for a particular reason. It hits. And last and certainly not least, had to pull out to the throwback. This was loved by tons of people. There wasn't a YouTube fragrance channel out there that you would not hear about this fragrance. It is the king of salt water type vibes, high heat monster, performs incredible, super inexpensive. Nobody's probably checking for this lately, and that's by the House of Bulgari, that's Aqua Amara, aka the bottle that just does not belong anywhere. You can't put this shit anywhere. It's so uncomfortable and takes up so much real estate on a shelf because it's just ridiculous that it's kind of annoying. So it gets lost in the sauce. When you're looking at top high bottles, you're not gonna be checking for this shit. So this doesn't get used at all, but the performance is there. The scent profile is there. Summertime vibes performance is there. And this is loved by a ton of people, especially people on a budget. Salty, fresh, masculine, sexy, cheap. All encompassed by this one flat, ridiculous looking bottle that's going to annoy you unless you have like under 10 bottles. And even so, on a small countertop, it just takes up so much circumference that throws off your whole fucking look. But the scent profile is just solid. So these are 10 fresh fragrances that are perfect for the workplace, for that office setting, for that business casual, for that suited up individual. You walk around with a briefcase or you have a merce. You are that dude that needs to make a statement when he's at the workplace, and these fragrances can absolutely help you. I love y'all motherfuckers from the heart. Sample any of these. Tell me if you've tried them and if they work in your work situation. And I'll see y'all bitches next time. You know it is biggest in the game. Smooches.
Cubaknow, what's fresh, who's best? One of them's gonna pass the test. Cubaknow.
For the fly gun holder, money folder, motor roller, start tack when it's time to call back. For the rough, rugged, and raw way, this nigga Jay, it's a game, but he don't play. Hey, for all the chicks that got dead in the penthouse suite on top of my mom's crib. It's nonsense you never get in. It's nonsense that you would think that you would.